Good stewards look at life through Christ-colored glasses, not me-colored glasses. In the Gospel of Matthew that I just read, we get Matthew's version of the Beatitudes. There are two sets of Beatitudes in the Gospels. God gives us all kinds of tools to get to heaven, all kinds of tools to build a good life. We get the Ten Commandments. We get two sets of Beatitudes. We get Jesus' great commandments of love and of forgiveness. And we get Jesus' dictums: choose to be last and not first. Choose to serve and not be served. It's a whole bunch of words, a whole bunch of tools. So this evening, I'm going to try to boil them all down to three commonsensical, I believe, rules. One, don't focus on stuff. Focus on our souls. Two, don't focus on me. Focus on others. And rule number three, compliment. Don't complain. Follow those three rules, I guarantee you, you'll go straight through the pearly gates. Okay, let's tackle the third rule first. Compliment. Don't complain. The word beatitude means happy. And if we live the Beatitudes and those other rules of God, we're going to be happy down here, and we'll be perfectly happy forever up there. And one of the ways to be happy down here and get up there is to compliment and not complain. Here's a modern parable. Harry and Jake are friends, and last Sunday they went to Mass together. As Father Jim was coming down the aisle, Harry leaned to Jake and said, "Listen to that hymn. Oh my God, can't they do anything better than that? That's such a bummer." Jake just kind of looked at him but said nothing. During the Gloria, Harry poked Jake in the ribs and said, "Look at that couple over there. Their baby has been crying since we got in here. Don't they know that's disrupting everyone's Mass?" During the homily, another poke in the ribs. "Jake, Father Jim, he just doesn't have it. He's got no insights, and whatever he says poorly." During communion, Harry was telling Jake, "Look at those people. Can't they dress better than that? They're going to receive the Son of God." After Mass, Harry cornered Jake and said, "Jake, you didn't respond to anything I said. You agree with all of it, don't you?" And Jake said, "You know, Harry, I was trying to concentrate on Mass. And you know that opening hymn? It got my foot tapping. It got me in the proper mood for Mass. It lifted my spirits. And yeah, I saw that couple with their baby, but I wasn't focusing on the baby crying. I was looking at the faces of that mom and dad. They were glowing. There was love for their child just radiating out of their faces. And yeah, Father Jim isn't the best homilist in the world, but I always get a kernel or two, a little nugget that I can take with me and try to improve my life. And, I too wish that maybe people dressed a little bit more reverently when they came to church. But, I wasn't focusing on what they were wearing. I was focusing on how many of them there were. Practically everyone in church came down the aisle and received the Son of God. And then Jake looked his friend Harry in the eye and said, Harry, you'd be a lot happier man if you spent more of your time complimenting people than complaining. Yes, doing that, complimenting people, not complaining, will make us happy down here. And it'll get us a step closer to the pearly gates. Okay, let's take numbers 1 and 2 together. Let's focus on our souls, not on our stuff. And let's focus on others, not ourselves. When I was 12 years old, my family was living in Old Metairie. We lived with my Aunt Blanche and my Uncle Charlie. We had lived there for 7 years. They had taken us in 7 years earlier when we would have been on the streets had they not taken us in because we couldn't afford the rent we had been paying. Now, the good news was, as I've told you before, we lived with them in Old Metairie, just blocks from the Metairie Country Club. So it was an affluent neighborhood. Well, I sat down one day when I was 12 with Mom and said, Mom, why? Why are you always so content? You're always happy. Why? Everybody else around here has a house. We don't. Everybody I know has a closet filled with clothes, and they're all nice clothes. And we have practically no clothes at all. And they all have cars. Some of them have 2 cars, and they're always kind of brand new. And we almost never have a car, and when we do have a car, it's an old junker, and it almost never runs. And they go to restaurants. They go to movies. They go on vacations. We never do any of that. Why? Why are you always so happy? My mom was a relatively uneducated, very unsophisticated woman, but she was wise. And Mom said, Michael, yeah, we don't have our own house, but we have the love of your Aunt Blanche and Uncle Charlie. They have never, ever said one word, never, ever expected us to even say thanks for the great gift that they give us to live in this house rent-free. Yeah, we don't have a car, but we're 3 blocks from Metairie Road, and there's a bus stop right at the corner. And for 7 cents, you can get on the bus, and you get a transfer. You can go anywhere in the city. It might take you a little bit longer than your friends who have cars, but son, you'll get there. Yeah, they have nicer clothes than you. They have a lot more clothes than you. But I wash clothes every day. I've never seen you walking around naked, Michael, and your clothes are always clean. And we can't afford to take you to the movies and to restaurants and on vacation, but your friends are constantly, their parents are constantly taking you with them to restaurants, to movies. And even a couple of times took you on vacation with them. We would never have that if we didn't have the privilege of living in this neighborhood. Mom was wise. Mom understood rules 1 and 2. Don't focus on stuff. Focus on souls. Don't focus on me. Focus on others. And Jake fully understands Rule 3. Compliment. Don't complain. Life is all about attitude. It's all about how we look at life. And my sisters and brothers, we are all called to be good stewards. And good stewards look at life through Christ-colored glasses, not me-colored glasses. As you heard in the announcements at the beginning of Mass, we are privileged this weekend to have one of our seminarians from Notre Dame here to speak to us about the state of vocations in the Archdiocese of New Orleans. John, come on up. Give him a warm Visitation of Our Lady welcome.
All right. Whoops. Good evening. It's good to see you.
Good evening.
It's nice to get out of the seminary for a while. And as Father said, my name is John Yike. I'm in Notre Dame Seminary. I'm in First Theology, so I've had 2 years of pre-theology, and I only have 3.5 more years to go in that. So we're having a lot of fun yet in that. And Archbishop Amon just asked us to get out every now and again and come to the parishes, let you see the face of a seminarian, and let us have some fun in the parish, and to just talk a little bit about our vocation call and how we ended up here. Now, y'all probably hadn't figured out from my boyish good looks, but I'm one of the later vocations in the seminary. There are 2 other guys that are older than me, but I'm right up there with them in that. And I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. Was a cradle Catholic, born and raised in the church, was an altar boy, and pretty much was in the church all through high school. And then as I got out of high school and into the business world, I kind of strayed a little bit and went my own way, just nothing real bad, just too busy to go to church, which was not the brightest thing in the world. But eventually I moved to New Orleans, and in 1987, the Pope John Paul came to town, and I had the privilege of going to Mass at the lakefront with him. And that was kind of my wake-up call, and when I started to come back into the church, it was a very special Mass for me. And that was pretty well lit. I was going to church again and that. Then in 1999, somebody came to the parish and started a Legion of Mary group. And I got involved in that, and I turned my life over to our Blessed Mother, and that's when things really started getting interesting. And in our parish, we had 5 small parishes around, and they collapsed them and formed all into one, and we became Blessed Silos Parish, not the Shrine. And then that was a real fun time. Then after that, a year or so later, we had a fire in the sacristy of our church, and we had to go to other churches and hang out for a while. And before we could get that repaired, we had Hurricane Katrina hit. So it was a real time of turmoil through there. But through it all, God was just using everything to draw me in deeper and deeper to the church. So after all that, I really had to start looking at my life in a really deep way. So in 2008, I decided that maybe God's calling me to be a permanent deacon. And I applied and was accepted to the diaconate program. And I was in there for several years and that, and then after the oil spill, the business started getting real shaky. So I had to step out of the diaconate program while I took care of that. And afterwards, I was not really knowing what I was going to do. And then in the space of 1 week, I had 3 people out of the blue just call me up and tell me that they thought I should be a priest. which kind of got my attention. And then soon after that, I ran into Archbishop Amon, and he was open to the idea. So I entered seminary in 2014 at the age of 56. And God willing, and the creek don't rise, I will be ordained sometime in 2020. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I would just like to thank you, everybody, for your prayers and your support. Just to give you an idea of how well the prayers are working, we now have 44 men in the seminary program studying for New Orleans, and the biggest class at the Notre Dame Seminary that they've had in like 30 years, all total. So it's really going along well. And as Archbishop Amon is so fond of saying when he's around, there's probably people in this parish that are feeling that same call in their heart. And I would just encourage everyone here, if you think you see that in someone, just take a moment and let them know, whether it's for the priesthood, the diaconate, or the religious life. Because sometimes God just needs that word from somebody to spark something in their heart. And I would just really encourage that when you come across it. And thank you, Father, for giving me a few minutes to speak. God bless everyone, and have a really great night.
Thank you, John. John.